An angle of depression is measured from a horizontal line of sight down to an object. Here is a great example of angle of depression. So let's say that we have an observer, and let's just make up a scenario where the person is on the top floor of a high-rise building, and maybe they're looking out their window. Okay, this is a very unrealistic picture. And the horizontal line of sight, you can see, would be parallel to the ground. Let's say that's the ground. And angle of depression, think down, right, means that the angle is formed from the horizontal down to the object. Maybe they're looking at somebody walking on the street. And this angle here would be my angle of depression. You could see that if I wanted to, I could draw a right triangle, much like I did in the previous example. And I could also assume that the object is, forming a right angle with the ground. You could see that I have formed right triangles, which would enable me to calculate the angle of depression if I knew the legs or the hypotenuse of this right triangle. So conveniently, if I want to look at the relationship between angle of elevation and angle of depression, what's interesting is they actually form alternate interior angles. If I look at my angle of elevation, right, if I start with a horizontal line of sight and I look up, here's my angle of elevation, right, because I'm looking up at an object. Angle of depression is horizontal line of sight, looking down. Because these horizontal lines are parallel to each other, this line of sight acts as a transversal, making X and Y alternate interior angles. And we know that if I have parallel lines, alternate interior angles are congruent. Therefore, angle of depression and angle of elevation are congruent. And furthermore, if I wanted to draw some right triangles, I would have congruent right triangles and I could solve using trigonometry. In the next video, I'm going to do an example of a word problem where we actually solve using trigonometry, knowing the angle of depression.